Welcome to Knit Together with Kim and Jonna. I'm Jonna.
And I'm Kim.
And we're here.
Finally.
I know. In our favorite local yarn shop, Pick Up Every Stitch in Mount Kisco, New York.
Yes, and we have help behind the camera today.
We do. I came in and I was like, oh, because I didn't see her wearing her wireless microphone. And I see the big rat microphone on the top. And I was like, oh, are we going back to that? She's like, no, we have 3 microphones. I'm like, okay. Good thing there's a professional here. So
yeah, do you mind if I say your name? A friend from church. Really, she's one of my daughter's best friends now, Michaela. So she's helping us.
Yes, and I'm so grateful.
Yes. Makes life so much easier.
Yes. And, you know, she's got headphones on too. So it's like we have our own little sound tech person.
Yeah, like real time.
I know.
Checking the sound.
I know.
Thank goodness.
It's crazy.
Because we've definitely had sound issues recently.
Yeah.
So we're going to apologize to the people that it bothers. But for those it doesn't bother, thank you.
I got a note from Mercedes. Hi, Mercedes. She's one of our Cable 3 members. She said, just remember, we don't care about the audio. We don't care about the noises. We don't care about the garage door opening. I was like, oh, so timely. Thank you for reassuring us.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, we're glad to be back.
Mm-hmm.
We have new projects, old projects, FOs from October that we haven't talked about yet. And
yeah, we're going to kind of whip through them.
No pun intended.
We're going to whip through the FOs.
Yeah.
If you're a new knitter, WIP means, or is an abbreviation for work in progress, and FO is finished object. Anyway, pun definitely intended. So we're just going to whip through them. If there's anything that you really want to know more about, sorry, now you're going to.
I'm going to whip through them.
Okay. Just put it in the comments, and maybe we can make another smaller video about certain projects if you want to know more about them. But
yeah,
it'll be fine.
All right. Administrative stuff. The PetiteKnit Cal winners. We just wanted to announce those on camera.
Yes.
And we have 3. We have one from the Cal thread. So we had 2 threads on Ravelry, the Cal thread and the FO thread. So the winner of the Cal thread is Lois Gase. Hi,
Yay.
Lois.
Hi, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. And then from the FO thread is Sue Cutt, C-U-T-T. And the hashtag from Instagram, the winner is Joanne Wiggins.
Yes. And we are going to finally have our PetiteKnit Cal show and tell.
Yeah.
And we will have one more winner when we do that during the show and tell. And we've scheduled that show and tell for Tuesday, February 13th from 4:30 to 5:30. So hopefully you can join us for that and show us all your beautiful projects. It'll be on Zoom. So we'll put the Zoom link in these show notes. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Perfect? Okay.
Yep. Maybe I'll have another FO.
That would be so fun. And we'll be here. We'll be here at Pick Up Every Stitch. Sometimes, well, I don't know what I mean, when was the last video we produced? Our New Year's Eve video. Right. But right after that, I tested positive for COVID. We filmed it earlier, so I didn't infect her. But early this year, beginning of the month, I had COVID. So all of our plans to make extra videos and schedule our PetiteKnit Cal show and tell and everything else had to wait.
Yep. So
we're finally going to do it. So again, the PetiteKnit Cal show and tell will be via Zoom. We'll be here. But you will be on Zoom Tuesday, February 13th from 4:30 to 5:30. So put it in your alarm. Put it in your, what do you say?
In your phone?
In your phone or in your clock.
Set a reminder?
Set a reminder.
Set a reminder.
Sorry, my brain is not functioning today. Yeah, because what's really sad sometimes is with our Cable 3 Zooms as well, we send out the announcement or we announce it, and then after it's already happened, people say, oh, I forgot.
Yeah. No,
so.
I do the same thing. Sometimes, well, on YouTube now you can set like a reminder. You know, if there's an episode I want to watch or some announcement or something, I'll hit the reminder bell. But that's on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So definitely put it in your calendar, set a reminder, an alarm or something so you don't forget, because we want you to be there. And we will have one more winner from that group. Okay, cool.
All right, and I did want to quickly mention our 15,000 subscriber party.
Yes.
Which is also a Zoom.
Yes, we hit 15,000 subscribers in August. And then we asked people to comment on our November video
Mhm.
to enter, because instead of, Jonna said, we have 15,000 subscribers. How sad to give out one prize, because all of you have made it possible. So we decided to choose, if people who commented, choose 15 winners, and all 15 winners will get to do a Zoom with us. So yeah, so we're going to do that when?
Saturday, February 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes. So put that in your calendar as well if you were one of the 15,000 subscribers. Oh, that reminds me. We haven't heard from everybody. So we've heard from 7 or 8 of the winners, but we haven't heard from Lisa Bishop, 5216, Eileen Goes Lean, VSG 7808, Yael Schlick, or Yael Schlick, 1496, Sparkle, 5240, Jenny Kalthoff, 2099, Shelby Cook Diaz, 2747, Margot Fain, 9402, and W Faith, Faythe. So hopefully you'll find out that you're a winner before that, and you'll also join us. So that'll be fun. We'll just get together and hang out and chat and talk about what we're knitting. It'll be fun.
It's always fun. The Zooms are great. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that it for administrative stuff?
Yes, except we're going to have a special Valentine surprise at the end of the video, so make sure you watch all the way to the end.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
What's next?
What we're wearing.
Great.
Which are also finished objects.
Yes.
And
yay.
They are both fairly, well, I know mine was a bit of a project. I don't know about yours, but it looks complicated.
It was, but I like complicated. I like involved.
But I mean, it's not going to be you're not going to just zoom through it. There's a lot of moving parts in that.
I can zoom through it anyway.
Okay.
Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay, so I am wearing Light by Georgia Farrell. I'll get my notes so I don't flub through this. And this is one of the sweaters. Remember, a year and a half ago, September, I asked the viewers to choose which sweater from my stash I should knit next. I had maybe 14 sweaters quantities matched with patterns, and everybody chose, and I have been knitting them in order. And so far, I think I've done, this might be the 6th, the 5th or the 6th sweater in order. Actually, I took this out of order. Sorry, that's a little fib. I took this out of order. The next one should have been Soldatna with my Woolen Vine yarn, but I wasn't feeling color work at the moment. And so I skipped over that one. I might have skipped a couple of others, but literally I looked at my stash and Light was just glowing. The yarn was just glowing, and it was just filling me with joy just thinking about knitting it. So it skipped the line. So this is Light by Georgia Farrell. I actually saw it when she was just even posting on Instagram, just parts of the design process, and I already knew that I just loved the design. And she's really inspired by architecture, and I loved how the what's that called when it's not I can't remember what it's called, but it's just texture with knits and pearls, and so it's horizontal lines on this side and diagonal on this side, and then the sleeves are the opposite, so diagonal next to the horizontal and horizontal next to the diagonal. And even it is seamed. Even when I was putting it together, it was just filling me with joy just seeing how it all goes together. So I did knit it in the yarn that it was called for. She designed it for Rowan, so it's knit in Rowan felted tweed. The blue is Maritime, held with actually I could not get the matching mohair, Rowan mohair, so I got Lana Grossa silk hair to match, and then the contrast color is Rowan felted tweed aluminum, held with Rowan Kid Silk Haze Majestic. And one really fun thing about it is I purchased this yarn in Bordeaux, France, when I was visiting my son and his family, and I bought it at La Linerie, and the owner there is Marienlyst. Hi, Marienlyst. She helped me pick it out, and she and I kind of were like spirit animals when we saw each other. We both had funky hair and funky glasses, and we just had a lot of fun there in the shop picking out this yarn. The only problem with buying yarn on vacation is, and then not knitting the project for a year and a half, is if you run out of yarn or you're getting close, it's really impossible, if not just hard or impossible to get more yarn. So that is in fact what happened. So the pattern comes in 9 sizes. I made the 44 to 46 inch size, And I did get gauge. I did a gauge swatch. I didn't bring it with me, did I? I think I did. This is all the yarn I have left. This little itty bitty bag of yarn. Only a teeny tiny bit of the blue. That's really what I was worried about running out of. And I did gauge swatch and got the correct gauge with a US 8. I think suggested is a US 7. Oh no, this is what I wrote. This is why I write notes. So I got gauge with the US 8 before blocking. It suggested 7, but after blocking, I got it with the 7. So it grew. My stitches, yeah, grew a little bit. Is that what it? Yes. So I started it on November 13th and finished it on December 15th. So about a month to knit it. And fair warning, it is a Rowan, a typical Rowan pattern. Very, very, very little detailed instructions. So if you need extra help, just send me a message. But it's basically one page front and back for the pattern and then a chart, the charts. So it doesn't tell you how to increase or decrease, where to increase or decrease.
Oh, wow. Not
whether it's leaning right or leaning left, like for the V-neck. And under the underarm increases, because it's knit bottom up. So I had to do, is that a decrease? I see, I can't even, I'm thinking like backwards. So I had to figure out what kind of decrease I wanted to use, which way I wanted it to lean, and I really did trial and error.
And then like where you wanted the decrease to be,
right.
Like 2 stitches in,
exactly,
or on the edge, or
yes. And so by the way, for this pattern, for this design, I used so much of what I learned in the finishing class I took at Vogue Knit Live last year with Keith Leonard. Every single thing he taught I used in this sweater.
Oh, nice.
So I'll explain that in a minute. But yeah, so you always, when you knit a pattern in pieces, you usually knit the back first, and then you know by how long you make the back, you make the front shorter for the V-neck. That's usually what they say. So if you're going to knit the back this many rows, then the front you knit 26 rows less. That's typically what it says in the pattern.
Now, does that have anything to do with the absence of short rows?
Just because you want the back higher. And so your back becomes your gauge swatch. And they're just saying if you get gauge, then you want your V-neck to start 26 rows less than your front, than your back. So, but you know me, I like to knit them both at the same time, right? On the same needle. So what I did was, as I started going, I measured, I figured out how long I want it to be, because it's supposed to be much more cropped. And, I'm a grandma, I don't want a real crop. So I did what we call grandma crop, and I did make mine longer. But that's when I realized I really am going to run out of yarn. So I made it as long as humanly possible, but still hopefully having enough yarn. And I just calculated by my gauge how long I wanted the back to be, and then decrease when I got to the 26 rows less, predicting, then I started my V-neck. But anyway, a little complicated. But I did use a tubular cast-on. It did not call for it, but I love, love, love tubular cast-ons now. So whenever I'm doing 1x1 rib, I always do a tubular cast-on, and in the contrast color. And then you start the sweater. There is no body shaping, torso shaping. And here up the middle, there is a slip stitch detail in the main color. So you have the option of duplicate stitching over it with the contrast color or not. And I just love that detail. So I did do that. And I just love how the diagonal lines just change and they line up with it's just so beautiful the way it just lines up. The design is just whimsical and fun and just really elegant. I just love it. So then when I got here, I used the Keith Leonard technique, and he always suggests, because it'll say increase at the neckline or decrease at the neckline, but don't do it right at the neckline, because then you have this strange lump, where that stitch is, where that decrease is. So he says always do your decrease 1 or 2 stitches in.
And it makes it harder to pick up stitches when there's that lump there.
Yes. Yeah. And then I had to decide, do I want my decrease to lean away, which means it's really going to then create 2 rows of stockinette that kind of follow the line of the V, so they'll be their own like design element. But what I decided to do was have the decreases lean in, and then they just kind of disappear. into the rib, so they don't become another design element. There's already enough design elements in the sweater. So I did that 1 stitch in. I did my decreases, and then when I got up to the shoulders, it had, of course, a typical Rowan pattern, the old-fashioned stair-step shaping for the shoulders, and that's, I mean, I've sewn those together, it's fine, but Keith Leonard also suggested just put in short row shaping and do a 3-needle bind off, and I did. It's the first time I've really converted a stair step to a 3-needle bind off, and it was just amazing. I mean, it made it so much easier.
What was the other sweater that you did that on? The first one.
I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was harder because it actually had, you know, this texture in it, so I had to make sure that it all matched and everything, and which stitch, where am I going to do the short rows? Yeah, so, but it worked. I was so happy to make it work. So thank you, Keith Leonard. I didn't get to take any of your classes this time when I went to VogueKnit, but I'm still using all of the techniques. So after finishing the front and back, though, I realized I'm definitely going to run out of yarn, and so I decided to do the rib on the sleeves longer. You knit the sleeves also from the bottom up and then sew them on. So I did extra rib, and when I did both sleeves at the same time, and I weighed both balls of yarn, and I kept weighing my yarn, and I just predicted, you know, how much I had left so that I could finish. And then also, this is a drop shoulder, which I found this odd, but the sleeve had a cap on it. You were supposed to knit a sleeve cap, but a sleeve cap is for the shoulder.
Right.
Yeah,
on part of the sleeve.
Yeah. So I just took that off because I don't know. I just felt like it's a drop shoulder. It doesn't need it because it's kind of straight. So that saved some yarn as well. But I love it. It's just the right length. Typically, I like to knit my sleeves a tiny bit longer, and probably knit this a tiny bit longer. But if I wear a shirt, I mean, it's fine even with jeans. But I absolutely love it. It just fills my heart with joy.
Okay.
And let's see, anything else? Nope, that's it. Oh, I'm going to put in a picture of all the seams are gorgeous, how the stripes line up. Another thing I learned from Keith Leonard was how to line up stripes when you're doing mattress stitch, so they're absolutely perfect, so there's no jog. And it just worked so perfectly. And this one underarm where the diagonals, oh, it's the one on the other side of you, but if you see this side of my body, the diagonals come like this, and all the little points on my underarm seam are just perfect. Oh my goodness. So anyway, my finished measurements on my sweater, I made, like I said, the 44 to 46, and my finished chest bust measurement is 45. Yay! Swatching works. My body from the underarm is 12 inches. Typically, I do like 13 and a half inches, and then my sleeves from the underarm are 18. I usually do 19, but it still is perfect. So I love it. Thank you, Georgia. And by the way, I contacted Georgia to see if she would be at VogueKnit Live this year. Yeah. Do you know why she's not? She had a baby.
That was going to be my guess.
Isn't that so sweet?
Yeah.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yay.
So anyway, that's it.
And I am wearing the Academic, a pattern by Ellie of Skeindeer Knits.
Yes.
And I should have looked at my Ravelry to see when I started this. Was it last year? Or was it even longer?
I don't know. But
this is a very long whip for me.
This is the whip of yours that most people ask about.
Really?
Oh, yeah, in like comments and things. Huh. Did Jonna ever finish her Academic? We haven't heard about the Academic. How's the Academic?
Oh, funny. Well, yes, I did finish it, and I wore it to Rhinebeck.
Yes,
and I finished it on the day, well, did I finish it on the day of Rhinebeck?
You did, Saturday morning.
No, because I wore it without sleeve ribbing.
Oh, right. You finished it enough to wear it.
Yes.
Under a jacket.
So I guess I finished it a couple days later. So anyway, let me start at the beginning. So I was completely inspired by Jackie Rose of the Caddy Jacks and now Jackie Rose podcast, I think it's called. And, you know, completely inspired by her choice of colors that I contemplated duplicating. I think she made hers out of Moondrake, but it was a kit and it had just, I want to say 13 skeins of yarn. It was just out of my price range, and so that wasn't going to happen. But at Rhinebeck, as I usually do, I stopped by the Nash Island Starcraft Fibers booth
Mm-hmm.
and am completely sucked in by their gorgeous colors. And I bought this, I was going to look at all the colors.
Oh, right. You bought it in 2022.
I did. I bought the main color in 2022, and I meant to grab my leftovers, and it's so bad. I've been cleaning my yarn room, and now I can't find anything. So, and this is, sorry about that. This is an acquisition that I bought at this year's Rhinebeck. But this is what the yarn looks like. It's Nash Island Tide. It is a woolen spun yarn, sport weight, 2-ply. And I just love all of their gorgeous colors. So this color is called Peat, which is a really, really beautiful dark chocolate brown. But all my colors are in my Ravelry. And
Peat, like P-E-A-T.
Uh-huh.
Not like the name.
Oh. not like Pete the cat. No. Like Pete, like
Peat moss.
yeah.
Peat.
So during COVID, my husband and I were like, oh, we're going to become whiskey drinkers. You know, we're going to take like a whiskey class online and we're going to drink whiskey and it's going to be amazing. And it's this thing we're going to do together.
Mm-hmm.
So it was COVID enough where we could go out with a mask and go to a liquor store. So we go to a liquor store and we talk to the guy. And, you know, I've been to Scotland, so I was kind of enamored by that whole culture.
Mm-hmm.
And we picked out a whiskey to bring home. Feeling so sophisticated, you know. So we sit down in front of the fireplace and pour a little bit, and we talked about adding water and why people do that. And
I have no idea where this is going, so I'm really waiting in anticipation to find
It
out.
has something to do with peat. So we ended up choosing a very peaty whiskey.
Okay.
I want to say it was Lafroy. I don't know how to say it.
I don't know anything
It's got
about whiskey.
It's got a lot of letters, most of which aren't combos. And
Is that a helicopter or
I
something?
don't know.
Must be.
I think it's
Yeah.
awesome, yeah.
Yeah, there must be a helicopter
Um,
flying overhead, so I don't know if you can hear it. Anyway,
Yeah.
so peaty whiskey.
Peaty whiskey. So anyway, we, you know, thinking we're all sophisticated and everything, and I took one sip and I was like, this is not for me. It was, to me, it tasted like I was licking the inside of my fireplace in a very unpleasant way, not in a pleasant way, not in a campfire. Oh, this is romantic, and isn't this?
I don't think licking the inside of your
Oh
fireplace
no,
would
it
ever
was
be
really,
pleasant.
really. So I'm not a peaty whiskey drinker. So anyway, all that to say, let me talk about the vest.
You gonna put in a new
Sorry.
timestamp now?
I know. Okay, new timestamp. All right. So this is a bottom-up construction. I did cast on with a German twisted cast on because I knew I was going to be putting this over my head, so it's nice and stretchy. There are 4 inches, let me just say 4 inches of 1x1 rib, and it took me an almost entire 50-gram skein to knit the 4 inches of rib.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is one time when swatching for color would have probably been a good idea. But of course, you know me, I don't really swatch. And I had used this yarn before on a US size 6. So I knew I wanted to go down a needle size to a 5, even though it was color work. So I did. And I just kind of chose my colors. And I thought, this is going to be fine. And it's going to be great. And I hated it. I hated the first color combo I chose, which was
Meaning that
mostly
you
blues.
started knitting
I
past the rib.
did.
You started knitting, you got to about here, and then you ripped it out.
Yep.
And then you did it again, and then
Yep.
you ripped it out. Right. So that was
I
your
chose
swatch.
different colors. That's just my swatch. And granted, there's like over 200 stitches around, so it was a rather large swatch. But at least I got to swatch in the round, and I got a good feel for the yarn, which is incredibly sticky. It is very light. Like I don't feel like I'm wearing anything, and it's super warm. I mean, the whole thing is stranded color work, so it's double thickness of
Mhm.
yarn. But oh my goodness, this is a very comfortable garment. But I will say that swatching for color, especially for some odd reason for the small motifs, it's just so important. It was for me anyway to get those color choices
Yeah.
right. What I felt was right, what I was happy with. There's no
Yeah.
right or wrong.
Right.
You could do a very monochromatic palette. You could definitely do like pops of color. I've got this like turquoise in here, which I love.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's what makes it, is that pop of turquoise, that light.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I think even if you're going to choose kind of a neutral palette, that choosing that pop is
Mhm.
cool. So Anyway, this was really, talk about patterns that aren't very explicit. This was maybe my first, and it's a very hand-holdy pattern. It's very explicit. There's many pages, but for me, it was a challenging knit just because everything, you know, I had to make decisions all by myself. So everything's hunky-dory and going along great because there's no shaping in the body of the garment at all. And I followed the instructions for the length. This is size 5. I could have probably made the size 4. That said, it fits very comfortably. I did follow the, you know, knit this many inches until you start the armhole steeks, which I did. And everything was great. And then I got to the point where I started to add steek stitches for the armholes. And there are also, you do some shaping around the steeks. And there's a color work chart that has none of this written in.
So you have to decide which color to do your
Right.
decreases in because, to keep the pattern going.
And depending what size you make, because there's the charts cover 16 sizes. This comes in 16 sizes.
Right.
Let's see. I did write down, I'm talking about everything out of order.
Just so everybody knows what I've been focusing on here, Jonna had a knot in her mohair, in her yarn. So I've been focusing on trying to unknot it. I think I got it. I'm done.
Thank you. I had some yarn barf that came out of the inside of the ball, and it was twisting around the outside of the ball, and thank you.
Yeah, hopefully it's fine now.
So 16 sizes from a bust measurement of 30 to 59 inches. To fit a bust of 30 to 59 inches, you can, the suggested ease is 0 to 2 inches. So I definitely have a little bit of ease, but totally comfortable. Yeah, so I chose my colors, very happy with my colors. Start casting off some stitches to create the steek, because then you cast on new steek stitches, so you actually have a hole to cut from.
And that was your first time steeking?
Yes, first time steeking. Oh, we're back to the increases.
Right.
Or decreases. In hindsight, I would have made all the decreases in the main color, and that's what I suggest. I mean, you know, your mileage may vary, but for me, I was looking at the chart, trying to imagine, you know, count each stitch. Okay, well, if I'm combining these two stitches, this is the color it should be.
Right.
Not thinking that it really isn't going to show because I'm going to be picking up stitches at the end for the ribbing anyway.
Right.
That said, it would have made my life a lot easier if I had just stuck to making all the decreases in the main color. And then I wouldn't have had any weird, like, odd V's in an odd color. I did do some duplicate stitching.
Right, you told me that after the fact.
Right,
in the V.
right in the V. And if you look at the projects on Ravelry, you do see kind of where the V hits. You know, you can see a little bit of funky color work there, and I really didn't.
Because they don't tell you how to do it, right?
They don't.
Yeah.
So definitely check out the notes on Ravelry on this sweater, this vest. There are mistakes. There's 3 color work charts. I think they're meant to all be identical. That said, they are not. So depending on like where you want your colors, but the first 2 charts, there are mistakes in row 51 and 55, and I have this in my notes.
I was going to say, how did you remember that?
I know. And I just thought, wow, this isn't intuitive. It's like 2 stitches here, 1 stitch here, 3 stitches here, 4. Like nothing made sense, but I was following that chart, you know, no questions asked.
Right.
But come to find out, there is a mistake. And by that time, I was like, you know what? I don't even care. It's no big deal. It's never going to show. So just be aware of that. The 3rd chart, which is the last chart in the pattern, is correct. But it has a different color scheme than the previous charts. So just make sure that whatever chart you stick to, you're going to just, you know, make sure that you check rows 51 and 55.
You're doing the right colors, check for mistakes.
Yes. That said, so up here I made a mistake. I think that this is supposed to be in the green. The very top zigzag is supposed to be in the green, not the rest.
Huh.
But I was like, you know what?
Oh, up here. Oh,
who cares?
Who would even notice?
Yeah. So no one's going to notice. Oh, and I did run out of charts, so I had to just pick a motif or, you know, start
and then you have to figure out where you are in the chart
every time you make a decrease.
Right.
Yeah. And then once you start the V-neck, hopefully this isn't sounding confusing, but once you start the V-neck, then your V-neck is random in the chart.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's stitches on the left side that are being decreased and stitches on the right side that are being decreased. So, and a steek in the middle. And I really had to like read back on the chart, like, okay, this is the next stitch I'm supposed to do. So for me, that was a challenge to do the steek stitches on my own, to do the decreases on my own, to remember where I was in the chart. But I love it. I'm so pleased that I stuck with it. It wasn't easy. I had some ripping back underneath this in the armhole steeks just because I'd used the wrong color and I had the wrong number of stitches in the front and the back, just by one, but it was annoying. So definitely alternate your colors in the steeks. So like red, green, whatever. So that's really the only thing I will say. Now, other people said this was a breeze. It was a joy to knit, and wasn't no trouble at all.
Wasn't there a mistake in the instructions for the V-neck rib?
There was, and so a lot of projects I saw where people started their V-neck sooner. They started it right when they started the armhole steek, so that the V is a little bit deeper. I just thought, oh no, I'm going to stick to the pattern. The V is like, if I have my glasses on, I definitely have to take my glasses off to get it on over my head, but it's not tight.
I just love how it's like that bookish, prim and proper schoolboy. It's the perfect. I love where the V is.
It's very all creatures great and small. I feel like I should be traipsing through the Cotswolds or the
wherever they are. Yes.
Yeah, the countryside,
the Scottish Highlands.
Yeah, I can't think at the moment where they filmed that, but if you haven't watched All Creatures Great and Small on PBS, it's on our PBS, which is our public broadcasting system.
Mm-hmm.
It's lovely. It's eye candy for knitwear.
Exactly. Besides the fact that the story's nice too,
very very sweet,
and the acting is really good. But the knitwear, every single frame, every single scene. Oh my goodness! Look what! And I like pause it and I stop and honey, look at her sweater.
I would totally fit in. Let's just say.
Yes.
So
But the V-neck, the stitch, the instructions, the stitch doesn't go up the center the way it's supposed to.
And she knows this because I am sitting in our Airbnb when we went to Rhinebeck in the early morning, in the only corner in the whole place that had any daylight, trying to use this almost black yarn to do the V-neck ribbing.
Because you wanted to wear it that day.
I wanted to wear it, but it was cold enough to wear a coat, so I knew that I didn't have to worry about the armhole ribbing. And, I did want to mention something about the steeks, but anyway, I start the decreases, the center, is it center double decrease or CDD? Whatever that acronym is for. So I start that and I'm following the directions perfectly, and the center
but meanwhile,
stitch.
She gets up crazy early every day, but she gets up really early. I'm still sleeping in the Airbnb. I'm sleeping away. She gets up crazy early because you do anyway, but to finish this.
Yes.
You're ready to finish.
Yes.
I wake up, go in to make my coffee, and you're struggling with it because it's not working out, right?
Because the center stitch is leaning to the right, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And you thought that there was a mistake in the pattern.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure if there's a mistake in the pattern or if it's an interpretation of the pattern. Or I did read in one of the projects that the stitch marker wasn't supposed to be on the left or the right of this center stitch, but it was supposed to be on the stitch.
Right. Something like that, yes.
I would say if you have a pattern that already has, a V-neck with directions that you like, I would just, if I were going to do it again, I would use my Dingley Dell by Isabel Kramer.
Yeah.
I would use that pattern to refresh my memory.
But so I get up, I make my coffee, I get ready, and then she's still struggling with
I'm
this.
in my pajamas and unbathed and
and so I said, first you asked me to look at the instructions, and then I said, but you need to get ready. Why don't you go get ready, and I'll try to figure this out, right? So I sent her off to the bathroom to do her hair and get ready, and I did that little center part a few times, and it wasn't correct, whether it's where the stitch marker is placed or whatever. So I just did what I thought was correct, and I just kind of did it, and I finished it, and then you bound it off in the car
while she drove my car. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
so
that was funny.
Yeah, and I must have. The bind off is actually fairly rigid. I don't know what bind off I used.
It's fine though. You don't want it floppy.
And I don't think I was sewing in the car, so I want to say I used just I bound off in pattern.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so I did want to mention the steeks themselves. I did use the crochet technique, so I crocheted the edges of the steeks. And it is a little bulky, not bothersome at all, but if I make it again, I will definitely felt my steeks. So just go on YouTube and look at a video of how to felt your steeks. And I really liked the process. I bought this steeking pen. I think it's by Clover, and it's just like you just punch it. It has a bunch
it's like
of
needle
needles.
felting. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like needle felting, but it's
Cool.
a bunch of needles, and so it goes fairly quickly. And then you just cut through the felted part. And I just loved that it looked neat and clean. You know, I did use some coordinating sock yarn to do my crochet, but it's not exactly the same color blue, so it does show a little bit on the inside. So I have to say it's probably they aren't the neatest steeks you'll ever see, but yeah. And then there's the 3 needle bind off here at the shoulders. I cut my steeks. Did I cut steeks in the car?
I think I cut steeks in the car. Did you? You might have.
I think I did. Anyway, and yeah, the lighting wasn't great. So
that was a crazy weekend.
Don't recommend that. Yeah. So I think that's it.
And do you know your finished measurements?
No.
Oh, that's okay.
I mean, my bust is 35.
So it looks like it has like
37
2 or 3
maybe.
inches of positive ease.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
So I will add those to my Ravelry though.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice. Let me just start my next row of brioche. I learned how to brioche.
Thanks for doing this, by the way.
Yeah.
I know. Well, you have actually fixed a brioche mistake for me long before you technically knew how to brioche.
Yeah, I did. I don't know how. I don't know what I did, but I did.
So much for it. She always says, I don't want to learn anything new. I have to say that is so not true about you. That is so not true. And that she's lazy. Those are 2 patently false statements.
I don't know.
Not calling you a liar.
Well, I feel like one great thing about having the channel, the podcast, is it really inspires me to learn new things because, like I said on my champagne cardigan for the PetiteKnit cow, I really, I don't even know if I would have done the double knit button band.
Really?
I did it for you guys. Ready? Is it on already? Okay.
I feel like I talked forever about that.
Well, that's how I feel about my light, but it is what it is. Also, we realized our friend Michaela, who's helping us, she said the sounds great, but we forgot because our wireless mics are under our sweaters. So I forgot that it was there, and I was like rubbing, touching my sweater and rubbing the mic. So sorry about that.
I'm trying not to. My mic is there. So
yeah. So the rest of our FOs, right?
Yep.
How many do you have?
I have 2 that are the same, and then my Soho square, and that is it.
Okay. I'll just go through a couple of them really quickly.
Okay.
So as you all know, I knitted the Kensi embroidered cardigan and bonnet by Julie Taylor for Jonna's beautiful granddaughter.
It's a beautiful
who was
on her.
born, when was she born?
July 5th.
July, right.
And she has really dark hair and blue eyes and fair skin, and the pink just looks beautiful.
Yeah, so cute. So, and it fits. I was so worried. I mean, I definitely knew I wanted to make a size. They live in Texas, so I wanted to make a size that would fit in the winter, especially a bonnet. So I was happy because what took me so long was the embroidery. So that's what I'm talking about. If you want to hear about the actual knitting, that was done, and I probably talked about it in September or October. But the embroidery, I was putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. I had done practice embroidery on my swatch. I don't even have the object here because it's already in Texas. And that was okay. One thing I realized, though, is you use this water-soluble stabilizer. Actually, I have some here. Let's see. So I used Laine du Nord Echo Baby for the sweater and the bonnet, and then the embroidery, I wanted like an antique white. The Laine du Nord only had white. It just didn't look good, so I used Manos del Uruguay Alegria in this antique white color, crema it's called, and it just worked out beautifully. It was so good. And I got the water-soluble stabilizer. I am not an embroiderer, so I don't really know, I didn't even really know what it was. I had to look it up. But it's this kind of thin, filmy stuff that you put behind. Well, actually, you trace the design on it, and then you pin it to the front, and you embroider through the stabilizer and through the sweater, and then afterward you soak it in water, and it just I was amazed. It just disappears. It just disappears.
It feels very much like interfacing that you would use for
Exactly.
sewing.
But it isn't really, it says it's a stabilizer. It doesn't really stabilize that much. It's very flimsy. So a viewer, I was talking about this way back, I don't know, August or September, and the viewer said to first stretch a piece of the stabilizer in an embroidery ring. So I had to buy this. I didn't have one. Stretch the piece of stabilizer, then put your sweater with the pinned stabilizer traced drawing on it, and then embroider through all the layers. And then this layer of stabilizer that's in here, because I didn't want to put the sweater in the ring.
No.
Right? The knitwear.
No.
So just a piece of the stabilizer, lay the sweater on top, I pinned it to it, and then I embroidered through all the layers, and then afterward I just removed it, and then you cut it really close to the design on both sides, and both of them just again dissolved. And it was, thank you to that viewer, it was a lifesaver, because then it was a nice stable surface that was firm that I could embroider on. So, but it still took me a while.
You know why I think this, I mean, it's stabilizing, is because it's not woven.
Right.
You know, this itself is not woven, so it's not got little threads running, you know, north and south, for lack of a better word.
You know what else it does, which is great with knitwear, is if you were just embroidering right on knitwear, it would be tempting to be like, should I go through this stitch? Should I go between that stitch?
I don't want to split the yarn.
Right, exactly. It's, you just don't even worry about it because you're just going through the design that you traced. So,
and you'd never know, because it's just
and once I sat down to do it, it took me, you know, a couple hours. But it's just the anticipation of it and the worry that I'm not going to do it right and it's not going to look good. Anyway, and I even ordered the like soluble pencils. I used the blue one. And yeah, I was just really, and it's just gorgeous. It turned out, you know, one side isn't exactly in the same place as the other side, but it's homemade, it's handmade. Yeah, so it's just so beautiful though, and I'm so happy that they love it, and they do love it. They're very knit-worthy.
And they want to have more children, so
yeah, it'll be a hand-me-down. They can, you know, give it to other family members who have babies, or hand it down to their babies. But anyway, it was really fun. So I loved knitting that. That is in my Ravelry, so you can check that out.
And I was going to mention babies, since we're on the subject of babies, that we're going to have another baby in our family.
Yeah.
My daughter, who lives here, is expecting.
You might have mentioned it in either the Christmas or the one of them.
Really?
Maybe you just, like, it came out.
Oh.
Or maybe it was a Zoom.
Huh.
It might have been a Zoom.
I feel like we haven't
Anyway,
known that long.
congratulations!
Thank you.
Yay! We don't know if it's a boy or girl yet, though, right?
No, I don't think they're finding out.
Ooh.
No.
That's fun.
I want to know. I don't know. I don't think they're finding out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another quick finished object is part of the PetiteKnit Cal, I knit what was the name of that sweater?
The champagne.
With the pockets? No.
Oh, the Ellen.
The Ellen's cardigan. See, this is not written down. That's why I don't remember. For my other friend's baby, grandchild. And then I knit the matching baby bear bonnet by Pernille Larson of
Knitting for Olive.
Yes, Knitting for Olive. And I'll just insert pictures of the set. But in this case, I used Isayer. They also have an Echo Baby or Eco Baby. Love that yarn. It's my new favorite yarn. And you don't have to just use it for baby items.
No.
It's just really gorgeous. So I knitted the baby bear bonnet in the matching yarn. And it is so cute. And they just sent me pictures. And it also fits perfectly. So happy. For that one, I made a size 9-month. And what I do, because you know how I make the big gauge swatches, so the gauge on the hat was different than the gauge on the sweater, but I already knew all these different gauges, so I could just pick the needle that matched. So it worked out perfectly. So I love that. And I'll just do one more because I have so many. So one other thing I knitted quickly was, and this is not mine, the 21 color slouch hat. And I saw it here. And the woman at Extra Mile Recordings, who releases the copyright for my favorite song, the knitting song that we use for our intro and outro for our episodes, I email her the YouTube link, and she facilitates the removal of the copyright claim. And so I said, I want to knit you something. And so we tried to, what's her favorite color? What color would she like? And I had such a hard time picking one color. And then I walked in to pick up every stitch, and they have this here. And I said, oh, that's what I'll knit. Every color. And coincidentally, I had previously purchased the kit. Which one? I think I purchased this one. I had it at home.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes, it's like a little mini kit. And then I bought another one. I think I probably bought this one, so I had extra. So I have tons of these now. I can definitely make more items. But I knit a 21 color slouch for Anthea. So thank you so much, Anthea. And it definitely runs big. It's not supposed to be a tight-fitted negative ease hat. It definitely is. It's a true slouch where it just is snug right here, and then it's like, you know, kind of loose and baggy.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it. They also have mittens to match, but I did not make the mittens here. I did not make the mittens for her.
Did you mention that it's wool stock extra? Yeah?
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, it's wool stock. I should have said that. Sorry. Yeah, they make these little blue sky fiber wool stock worsted.
Oh, worsted.
And these are the little mini hanks. And it was so fun because I think originally when they made the hat, there were a specific, all the color range, all 21 colors were in the hat. But for these little kits, there aren't 21 colors, and I didn't have all the colors that the pattern calls for. So I just mixed and matched. It was really fun. So that was that. Yeah. And I think that's one size too. So anyway, you can go next.
Well, speaking of hats, I made 4 of the same hat, the Manhattan hat by Tori. And this was on the recommendation of one of our viewers, Laura.
Laura.
So thank you.
She recommended it a while ago, and we just never got around to it.
She did. And so I think there's a young man. His name is Joe. He delivers my dad's lunch. So my dad gets senior lunch in the village where we live. And he's a lovely young man. He always asks how my dad is. And, you know, he's there rain, snow, sleet, you know, whatever the weather is. And I thought, I'm going to make him a hat. So I'd never made this pattern before, and I also didn't know like what his lifestyle was like. So I had some, patents worsted at home that I had picked up at our big box craft store. I want to say it was Joanne. And so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to cast on. And it calls for a tubular cast on. So I went down to a US 3. So the hat was knit on a US 5. Went down to a US 3 because those are the straight needles I have. And I cast on with the straight needles. And I have to say, with one strand of yarn, I still probably did the tubular cast on like 9 times. And I do it like 9 times every time I do it. I don't know. I twist it, and I can't tell which this is a purl stitch or a knit stitch. That said, Pat just made the Manhattan hat, and she did not use the tubular cast on. She did an alternating cable cast on, and you almost can't tell the difference. So if you're struggling and you don't want to do the tubular cast on, and that's the only thing that's preventing you from casting on the Manhattan hat, try the alternating cable cast on.
Now, I've been able to do it with the circular needle. And is the reason that the straight needles help, and I think I know why, is because once it gets on the cable's so thin, it twists more. But if it's on a straight needle, the needle's all the same circumference, so it stays.
Yes, your stitches
sticks
aren't
to the needle.
Twisting as much, theoretically, but for me, all bets are off, and it just is a big mess. But anyway, and I did make one for the little girl who lives next door because I gave her sister the Ankers jacket that I finished.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I gave the sweater to the older little girl next door, and
because by now it won't fit.
It won't fit Eleanor.
Eleanor,
who I originally made it for. So the Manhattan hat comes in sizes from baby to adult large. Yeah. So I made the adult medium for Joe. I made the toddler for the little girl next door, and I have to say, it could have been a little bit bigger. And I used another wool ease. And at first I started knitting with it, and I thought, oh, I don't like the way this feels. But I got used to it. It is washable. I want to say it's like mostly acrylic. It does have like 10% wool in it or something, but it's washable. She's a toddler. Yeah. Whatever. She's probably going to lose it anyway. So I made that one. I made Joe's, and then I made 2 for myself. So Laura's favorite pattern and yarn combo is the Manhattan hat with Mayak medium. And Pick Up Every Stitch was having a sale. What? I don't know what the occasion was. Local yarn shop day, or I don't know. They were having a sale. So everything in the store was 15% off or something. So I thought I would splurge and get some Mayak medium and make myself a Manhattan hat. Well, one thing led to another, and I bought yarn for like many Manhattan hats. So I made one in the oatmeal color. So the deal is these are 50-gram skeins, and you need 2 of them to make the hat in my size, which means you need to add a second ball of yarn. The thing about this pattern is that there are 2 crown decrease options, and there are 3 brim options. So there's a brimless, there's a folded up once, and I think there's a folded up twice option. So I chose, at Laura's suggestion, the folded brim with the inside out knitwise decreases. Now the first time I knit the hat, I completely forgot that the fabric you're looking at is going to be on the inside of the hat when you're done. So when I added the new ball of yarn, I added it with the tails on the back, which was the right side of my hat. So for hat number 2, I switched yarns on the side of the work that was facing me.
But it was easy to just pull the tails to the
It was,
side.
but I had a panic moment because they
you
were
got
woven in, and
right.
I thought, oh, this looks ugly. How am I going to do this without holes? But it ended up being fine. The one thing I love about this hat, so it's a 1x1 rib, which, you know, I thought, oh, that's a little bit of a slog, but once your fingers get going in the 1x1, it's no problem at all. And it's a long hat, so I want to say I knit for over 9 inches before I started the decreases. But the cool thing about this hat is that the decreases happen on every single round, so you don't have to think to yourself, is this a decrease round? Is this a knit round? So they're all decrease rounds, and it just has a really cool, I think,
I love
pointy crown, and then you get to X number of stitches at the end, and you do a 3 needle bind off. So the 3 needle bind off is on the inside of the hat.
I love that.
Yeah. So I thought it just was really cool way to finish it. So these are the knitwise decreases. You can do purlwise decreases, but why would you? I have no idea.
Why would you do anything purl?
Why would you do that?
It's really cute.
So it didn't take very much of the second skein, so I definitely have left over. And so then I thought, well, I need more than one. So this one is the...
Is that blue or black?
Isn't that amazing? You don't know. Because I couldn't make up my mind. So I wanted blue and I wanted black.
Well, there you go.
And I was here and I found this yarn, Midnight Blue. Yeah.
Yeah, because in some... Like this, it looks black.
I know, from far away it looks black.
But next to this, it looks blue. It's beautiful.
But I did hold it with my favorite mohair in the whole entire world. And it's my favorite because of the color, not necessarily because of the content or the texture. I really don't have a comment on that. I mean, it's fine. But it's Rowan Kid Silk Haze in the color Turkish Plum. It's a very, very, very dark navy blue. So that was... this is what the hat is. So I have to say, it's a worsted weight pattern. Adding the mohair to the Mayak was actually great because I feel like this is a little bit of a light worsted. Light worsted, so it was fine. And it makes the hat like super, super thick and dense and even more pointy.
Wow.
So anyway, this is my new favorite hat.
I love it.
Yeah, Laura actually messaged me the other day. She's making the Oslo hat. You know, when you get to that point where you have to reverse directions, like everybody gets to that point. I'm like, just follow the directions. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
So, yeah. I've since come to, and I knew this, but if you go to PetiteKnit.com and you go to the pattern that you're making, find it on her website. On that pattern page, there's a tab that says videos, and so for each pattern there are several videos, and there is one about turning around on the Oslo hat. So so I can't recommend this pattern enough. I had a really hard time not casting on a 5th one, but you know, I love hats, so, and I do wear them. So if you like this, she has a new pattern out too.
Really?
Tori Yu, did I mention her name?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
It's really stunning.
Yeah. So I really love it. I wear it all the time. I wear it in the house. I recently had the flu, and I wore it in the house with my pajamas. Yeah, so I think that's it.
Nice. Nice. So,
I feel
let's
like
see.
wearing it now.
I already talked about that. I already talked about that. Okay. So, I already talked about that. Okay, so I am going to talk about another item that I don't have here. My husband and I have a very, very dear friend who, his brother passed away right before Christmas. And so we were contacting him, and we weren't able to go to the memorial service, but we were just chatting via text, and I said, I think also he had surgery or some sort of health crisis, and so he was in the hospital as well. And so I said, do you need anything? Can I send you groceries? Can I send you meal cards? Can I send you food? And he said, no, I don't need any of that, but can you knit me a scarf? It was so funny. It was like he was waiting for the opportunity for me to offer anything. And I said, sure, what kind of scarf do you want? And he said he wanted a rainbow scarf. So I started sending him pictures from the internet. I said, can you search on the internet and see if you can find, because, you know, there's many different ways to do a rainbow scarf. And then I realized I should send him pictures, because he'll probably send me pictures of crochet scarves, and I don't crochet. So I sent him pictures of scarves where the stripes go across the short way and then the long way, and he definitely, every single one he liked went the long way.
Oh, good.
And this is where I'm a lazy knitter. I don't just want to make it up. I probably could have, but I don't want it to be a guessing game. So I searched for a pattern, and I found a pattern. So I'm going to insert a picture of the scarf I made right now, the rainbow scarf. It's the Stripes pattern by Elizabeth McCarten, McCarten. And it's so funny because she says down at the bottom, 6 years ago, my son James asked for a scarf. I wanted to knit him a simple yet handsome scarf. Yada, yada, yada. And then she says, the instructions barely merit writing down, but because knitters keep asking, here they are. And I say thank you for writing them down, because it really took the guessing out for me. So what I did, though, was I came in here and I picked out, I ended up deciding, because you can get the best colors in, I don't know if that's the correct red. I have two different reds here. I think that red is for that hat. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I picked out these John Arbin Knit by Numbers. Yeah, I just love John Arbin Knit by Numbers because they just have the most beautiful colors. So I picked out these 6 colors to make the rainbow scarf. And I did knit a swatch because my gauge was not going to be the same. I didn't have the same weight yarn as this pattern. So I knitted a little tiny swatch, mainly just to see my stitch count. And then I Googled how long our friend wanted it to be able to wrap around twice and then have some that hangs down in the front. So I figured out that it should be 70 to 80 inches long and about 6 to 7 inches wide. So I did make a gauge swatch so I would know my stitch count and my row gauge, and I decided that I had my, I cast on, I think I cast on the same amount of stitches that she has in this pattern, but now I can't remember. No, I cast on more stitches based on my gauge and how long I wanted the scarf to be. And then I just kept knitting the first color to see how wide I wanted the, basically. And I decided on 6 garter, it's all garter stitch, garter ridges, so 12 rows of each color. And then I just switched colors, and I did the nice decorative end where you slip the first stitch and then knit the last stitch on every row so it looks nice on the end. And yeah, I finished it for him. And then the day of the memorial service, we couldn't go to the memorial service, so we said we'd love to have dinner with him after, so we gave him the scarf, and he immediately put it on and absolutely loves it. And then we drove him home. He lives in Brooklyn, no, Queens, so we drove him home, but he absolutely loves the scarf. So if you want to knit a striped scarf, you should definitely use this pattern, or just make it up yourself if you're not lazy like I am. So,
Did I tell you Joe loved his hat? He wears it every day.
The
lunch guy.
The lunch guy.
Yeah, he's also, I call him the lunch guy. He has another job, very important job. He just does this out of the kindness of his heart. He drives and does the pickup for the lunches and stuff. But I guess his mom had made some comment about the hat he was wearing, which was like some, just store-bought acrylic thing. he's like, yeah, my mom made me throw it away.
That's such a mom thing
he
to
He
do.
just loves his hat. It just makes me happy every time I see it. And I said I loved it so much that I had to make myself one. So now we have matching-ish hats.
At least she made him throw it away and didn't just throw it away herself, and
Yeah.
he's looking for it for the next
No.
6 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So, do you have more finished objects?
Oh, no. Speaking of hats, I just want to mention quickly.
Okay.
So, my dad, he's elderly. I'm always trying to, like, think of ways to get him, I don't know, involved in doing something. I bought the Addy Express king size circular knitting machine.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I learned how to crank a hat in like 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And they're fabulous. I just cranked this tube and I gathered at one end, gathered at the other end, and then put it inside of each other.
Right.
And then roll it up, and you have an instant hat. And it has worked so
That's so cool.
well. I
Wow.
haven't had any. I've tried different worsted yarns. I think I've only used worsted. I've made my grandson a couple hats. It was super fun. My dad's not as interested in it as I had hoped, but he's interested in the hats. And
Yeah.
so he's wearing those, and we gave some
Nice.
to some other people who've been helping us, and yeah.
Those would be great when you make those little homeless packs and
Yeah.
put, like,
Yeah.
socks, a hat.
Great for charity. So
Yes.
if you have acrylic wool or you
Granola
have,
bars.
or acrylic yarn, that you want to use up, or, if you're giving it away and you don't know who's going to be able to launder it or whatnot. So it's been really fun.
Oh,
So
that's
I borrowed
nice.
the little one from my friend, and I thought, she asked me, does this make you want a circular sock machine more or less? And I said, surprisingly, less.
Really?
Isn't that odd?
That surprises me.
Yes. And in fact, I wish I had grabbed. So Kevin and Ray from Needles at the Ready came to dinner, and Kim did not come, but whatever.
I think
So
I
they
was
had to just
sick.
deal with me and my boring, and my husband's not boring, but anyway, I feel like we're not nearly as exciting as you are. But anyway, we had a lovely dinner, and I sent them home with 300-gram skeins of yarn to crank for me on their, and you can put in a picture, crank for me on their circular sock machine. So I took my grandson to the Pez. Do you remember Pez candy?
Uh-huh.
You know, the little head that you
Yeah.
open and the candy comes out. So there's a Pez candy factory in Orange, Connecticut. But I thought, oh my goodness, I'm in like far north Connecticut. Maybe it's close to where Kevin and Ray live. And it was. So I said, hey, it had been a couple months. So it wasn't like I was like being obnoxious. But I was like, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. Can I drop?
Are those socks
those
done?
sock tubes done? And they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had just gotten over COVID. But Kevin met me at the door, and he gave me my big snail of yarn of sock tubes, and I have still done nothing with them. Absolutely nothing.
It's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Kevin and
Yeah.
Ray, for cranking my sock tubes.
So does that make you want more or less to have a sock machine?
I think less because I haven't done anything with the sock tubes. And I mean, really, if I needed some, you can pay. I think it's like $12. You can mail it some on Etsy maybe, and someone will crank it for you.
Oh. But I think what'll make you, because you've found the perfect amount of stitches for the perfect sock that fits your foot perfectly. So are these tubes going to be that way?
So
Are they?
that's interesting
Right.
because they cranked these on a 64 stitch cam. I think they're called cams. And I think they're going to be big for me.
Mm-hmm.
What was also interesting is that one of the yarns pooled, but only for part of it. So it's interesting to see how, and I don't know if this is indicative of the quality of the dye job. I'm not really sure, but part of it looked pretty uniformly striped, and then it just went all wonky into all kinds of crazy pooling. So that was also interesting. I did ask them to crank some woolens and nosh self-striping yarn, and it's gorgeous. It's just beautiful. And then one of the skeins that you brought me from Nova Scotia. Yeah, that's blue and green. It's very homogeneous. So, yeah, it was something I really hadn't thought about with a circular sock machine. And then also, I wonder if there's some kind of torque or some kind of twist in the tube. And it might not be. I haven't looked enough into it. But I think for each 100-gram skein, I can get 2 pairs of socks for me.
Wow.
So they only make one pair of socks for themselves out of the 100-gram skein, but I think I can get 2 pairs. So yeah. Anyway.
And as far as, since you're talking about socks and self-striping yarns, depending on how many stitches you have on your needle, your stripes are going to look completely different.
Yes.
So if you make a baby sock versus a, there's not a one-size-fits-all sock, right?
No,
so they're all going to be different. Yeah.
So I was going to say my friend Summer Lee, like she's my friend. She's really not my friend. I've never met her, but she is one of my favorite sock designers, and she actually designed some All Creatures Great and Small socks.
Oh, wow.
Like Helen's sweater is now a pair of socks, and then one of the vests is now a pair of socks anyway that she designed. But she wrote a book called The Sock Project.
Wow.
And it's going to be out in February. So I think you can pre-order it on Amazon. I have already pre-ordered my copy.
Yay.
And she has restarted her podcast. It's called OK Knit, I think. But I'll link it below.
Like the letter O and the letter K?
Yeah,
or
OK Knit.
O-K-A-Y knit.
No, OK Knit.
Okay.
Yeah. So she has just a beautiful aesthetic. She loves to remodel houses, and she has a beautiful home in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she's just cute and bubbly, and she has her recent episode talking about her 5 favorite sock yarns. So I will link that below. But anyway, check out her book, and I'm not sponsored. I just think she's brilliant.
This is not a sponsored advertisement.
No, it isn't. And I can't wait to get my book.
Well, none of them are, right?
No.
Except Twice Sheared Sheep. No,
Right.
That's not sponsored, but
Right.
we are affiliates. When we
we're
talk about Twice Sheared Sheep, we are affiliates, and if you use our link, we do get a little commission off of it.
Mm-hmm. And I just recently used my row counter for this, actually, when I did the collar, and it's so helpful.
It's so helpful.
It really is. So it's one of my favorite tools. There's also...
I'm using it for my brioche hat, too. I'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah, there's also one that says K and D and K and I, so knit and increase row. So if you're like me and you can't remember if you're on an increase row or a decrease row, they have little row counters for that. They have the 1 through 10. They have the 1 through 5. They have the odd and even rows. Yeah, those are my favorite tools from Twice Sheared Sheep. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you now. The reason I use it on this is the chart is 28 rows long. And so if I want to mindlessly knit and not worry about what row on the chart I am, I just, on row 1, I set it on 1. And I can just kind of, without marking or anything, I can just keep knitting till I get to 10. And then I know I'm on the 10th row of the chart. And then, so, and if I forget, if I put it down, I can just pick it up and say, oh, I'm on the 9th row of the chart.
Right. And then if you have like a chart with a 4-row repeat, then you can use it, to know what row you're on, and like say you cable on the 4th row or something like that.
And they make shorter ones for things like that.
Yeah.
I think, did I get one in the advent calendar? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love those things.
Yeah.
So, let's see. More, I told you we have so many finished objects. Oh my goodness. So, 3 more things that I don't even have here. So my granddaughter, Ruby, came home from school one day before Christmas, not very long before Christmas, and she told her mommy that she wants to give her teacher something for Christmas, and she wants a matching hat to the one I made Ruby. So I had made Ruby like a mini Monster Cables beanie last year in pink with a pink pom-pom. So I came to pick up every stitch, and I bought, I didn't even have hers with me. I didn't remember what color. Coincidentally, I literally picked out the exact same color yarn and the exact same pom-pom. Is that crazy? So I picked it out, and I knit another Monster Cables beanie for Ruby's teacher. So I'll insert a picture. And I was there when we gave it to her the last day of school before Christmas break. We specifically asked permission to go in the building and give it to her. So that was really, really fun. And Ruby was so happy. She just loves, Ruby is basically one of those, she's 5, but she didn't go to nursery school before COVID, and then she didn't go to nursery school during COVID. So she's just became a very, very shy child. And so kindergarten's been hard for her, but her teacher is adorable.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so that was fun. And then my, a family member, but he's lived with us on and off. I call him my son from another mother. He is not living with us now, but he's lived with us on and off since he was 18. He's the same age as my son, basically, and they're really good friends. So he moved in with us for his last year of high school, and my son was in his last year of high school. And yeah, so I told him I wanted to knit him a hat, and he said he wanted, I said this before, in another one, the Life Aquatic hat. So I was just going to knit him a red Oslo hat. And because I looked it up, it's a red hat, right? And so I started the Oslo hat. I don't gauge swatch for hats typically. I did for the one I sent to London because I wanted it to fit, but typically I don't. And I started to knit it on I usually use Pasquale Tibetan, and I was using, I used Wild Atlantic Yarns Una DK in the color Ember, a beautiful red. So I cast it on and I start knitting this beautiful Oslo hat, and it's way too small for an adult, way too small. So I immediately, I'm not going to rip it out. So I decided I'm going to give it to my grandson Isaiah. I've never knit him a hat. And then I cast on the next one in a bigger size and a bigger needle. I'm pretty sure I used a bigger needle. And I start knitting it, and then a viewer sent, and you told me there's patterns on Ravelry for, it's Steve Zissou, right? That's the guy's name on the movie. There's patterns for the Steve Zissou hat. So I look at the patterns and realize that an Oslo hat, I mean, it's similar, but an Oslo hat is all stockinette. The Zissou hat is rib, and it has this funny little point on the top. And I think that's what Dane likes about it, is that, you know, and the way Bill Murray wears it is it's folded, but it's like above his ears, and his ears are sticking out, and the little point sticks up. And so I assumed if that's the hat he wants more like that. So I decided to give this second Oslo hat to my son-in-law, who is Isaiah's dad. So now they have matching red hats, and they're beautiful. So if I have pictures, I will have inserted those. If not, oh well, they're Oslo hats. You've seen them. But in the meantime, I did go to many Steve Zissou hats, and a lot of them were in worsted. But I decided I had more John Arbin knit by numbers, and it's DK. I tried making a worsted version, doubling the DK, and it was way too thick because it is a round, bouncy yarn. It's way too thick. So then I found my favorite. No, I just looked up a random rib hat for the numbers, a DK hat, and then I went to my favorite Steve Zissou worsted hat to see the shaping, and I combined them, and look at this cute hat I have. Isn't it so cute?
Very cute.
It's gonna mess up my hair, but let me let my ears stick out.
It's perfect too. It's perfect.
Yeah?
Shape, yeah.
I love it so much.
Oh my goodness.
I just finished
It's the perfect shape.
I know, I put my ears out on purpose.
Yeah.
But isn't it fun?
Yeah.
And I had my, the decreases are beautiful.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Wow, and it's very
It's
dense
soft and squishy,
thick,
right?
it is,
But in worsted, it was way too thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh, wow.
I really.
Has he had it?
No, I just finished it last night.
Oh,
I haven't,
okay.
I'm not going to block it, I don't think. It's fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But yeah, I love it so much. Yay!
So fun.
So that's John Arbin knit by number as well.
And I want to see that movie. It's kind of a, I don't want to say spoof, but kind of a take on Jacques Cousteau.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. My husband said he's seen it.
Oh,
And
okay.
I can't remember if he
My
liked it or
parents, we always watch whatever Jacques Cousteau. I think the name of the show was Jacques Cousteau, and we watched that a lot.
The Undersea World of Jacques Cousteau.
Yes.
I love that show.
And my parents were very stingy with the TV. So we didn't get a color TV until the 49ers were in the Super Bowl, and I was an adult at that point. The 49ers are again in the Super Bowl, and my husband is very happy, let's just say. So we're originally from the San Francisco Bay Area. And yeah, so we had a black and white TV growing up, and it had a lock on it with a key. And so my parents would lock the TV. So there was no getting around it. So anyway, that was one of the shows. We could watch Jacques Cousteau with them. We could watch Mutual of Omaha.
And then Disney
Wild
was after that.
Kingdom.
The Disney...
Oh, we didn't get to watch that.
Oh, it was afterward or before?
I do have vague memories of Sonny and Cher. I loved I Dream of Jeannie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one summer we had a babysitter, and she was really into soap operas. And I guess my mom left her in charge of the key. And that was the summer I discovered the soap opera.
Oh, that's so funny.
I know,
That's
so
really,
funny.
really funny.
So anyway,
So,
I
yeah.
was a stingy parent with the TV too.
Oh, you were?
I was.
I wasn't. TV was always on in our house.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we ate food out of boxes. Just add water. In the
That's like my
70s,
husband.
in the 70s when you know the microwave was new and
Yeah.
you know everything could come in a box and you just add water as if we're like astronauts and we don't have a kitchen. Like
Oh my gosh.
everything was out of a box. Yeah. So we really, honestly, hamburger helper, mac and cheese, like
My husband
the
grew up like
box
that, yeah.
au gratin potatoes that are like literally like poker chips. They make this funny clinky noise. You could make jewelry out of them and they'd be really beautiful. Like a really fun
Oh my gosh.
necklace that makes noise.
Well, my kids still give me a hard time because they didn't have Sonic. So we moved to Texas when the kids were little from California, and Sonic is a big fast food chain there. But they do occasionally mention that they didn't have Sonic until they were like in high school.
Well, I'm the opposite.
Why are you not like other people's moms, and why don't you make Frito pie? It's like, because I don't know what Frito pie was. My mom didn't make Frito pie. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to make it.
And I never had mashed potatoes made from actual potatoes for a really, really, really long time. I had potato flakes.
Oh my gosh.
That is funny. All right, so I'm done with my FOs.
But you know what? If you eat potatoes out of a box, that is completely fine.
Of course.
My dad would probably prefer potatoes out
I
of
think
a
it
box.
was more that it was like this newfangled, really cool thing.
Right, like astronaut food.
My mom was a working mom.
Because we grew up in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're astronaut kids.
And I mean,
Tang.
sometimes,
My grandma always had Tang.
yes,
Which
we
is
had
this
Tang.
orange powdered
Yeah.
faux orange juice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved it. I'd
Yeah.
go to her house and have Tang.
I mean, my kids still, you know, I lived with my mom when I was a single mom, and so my mom would cook for them and still make hamburger helper sometimes, and we still have mac and cheese. And
Oh, yeah.
oh no, I'm all for easy,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I had never really tasted a real potato. That was my point. It's kind of funny.
Oh, my goodness.
But anyway, okay. So, what's next?
The Soho Square?
Oh, I forgot. Right, because that's not on my list.
Yeah.
You're gonna do yours. We
Hold
can
on.
pull both of ours out.
Yeah, and so we can kind of do this quickly, I think.
Yes.
Um,
It's a square.
it's a square.
There it is. There's my square. And you typically fold it in half.
Wait, are we started?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Okay.
Oh, now we can see how much bigger mine is than yours.
So I measured mine, and because I got nervous, so you cast on, it says, and I went back to the pattern. This is the Soho Square by Jackie Rose, by the way,
Mhm.
and it comes in 4 sizes: the wrap, the scarf, the wink, and the skinny wink.
Oh, I didn't know about that new one. It's a new one,
So
right?
the wink is square, but the skinny wink is a rectangle, I
Mhm.
believe. So anyway, I looked back at the schematic, and this one is supposed to be 36-inch square, and mine is 36-ish
Mhm.
inches square. But I use the recommended needle size. That said, on my second one, which I already cast on, so I wish I'd thought about this, but because of something you said with the cast on, I would use a German twisted cast on to cast this on, because you know how in a pattern, usually when you're doing a scarf, and they say, don't make the I-cord edge too tight, right, in the pattern?
Mhm.
Well, I purposely didn't make the I-cord edge tight, and my I-cord edge is stretchier than my long tail cast on edge.
Mhm.
And so this is a square, in quotation marks.
It's fine. You never like hold it up like a square though. It's,
No.
It's always wrapped around your neck.
So anyway, why don't you want to talk about the details?
Well, Jonna was making hers for Rhinebeck weekend,
Mhm.
and she had finished the first half and turned the corner, and then.
That was a Moondrake trunk show. I wanted to wear.
But it was for Road to Rhinebeck. That was the same day.
Oh, it was the same day.
Yes, it was
No.
the same day. So she wanted to finish this vest
Mhm.
and this, and I don't like deadline knitting, and I wasn't knitting anything specifically for that weekend. So I said, well, I'll finish something for you. So she brought the Soho Square over, and I worked on it that week leading up to it. I was even working on it. No, I was working on it at the Moondrake thing. Remember?
Mhm.
And so knitting it was really fun, and I just matched your tension. I just saw how your
Mhm.
stitches slid on the needles, and I think I matched it pretty well.
Yeah.
So I knit the second half,
Mhm.
and so she could have that for Rhinebeck weekend. And I had so much fun knitting it that when we were at Woolen Folk, I wanted to make one, and so we went to Lamb and Kid, and Jackie Rose helped me pick out what's my yarn? Diamond Lane Birdie.
Birdie.
Right. So she helped me pick out
Oh, wow.
mine, and I wanted this to be it was my Christmas Day cast on because the grandchildren were there. I wanted something easy garter stitch that I could knit with grandchildren running around me and getting up to cook and getting up to do all these things. So I did cast it on that morning and using the recommended needle size with the recommended yarn, and my cast on was way too tight. It just was. So I didn't want to gauge swatch for this. So I just said, I mean, it was really tight. It was probably 24 like if I held it, I was 24 inches instead of 36.
Got it.
Right? Wasn't even close. I couldn't even stretch it to be that close. So I just, I was texting Jonna, and she just said, go up a couple needle sizes. So I went up 3 needle sizes because it suggested to use which needle? 4?
4.
5, 6, 7. No, a 6. And I went up to a 9. And so mine is big. Mine is 46 inches. So mine is really big.
And I thought you were just going to cast on with the 9 and then start knitting with the 6.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But then because I use such a big needle, I ran out of yarn. But I ran out of the main color 1. So this is the correct. You do I did my dark side first and my 2 stripes. That's how it's supposed to be. And then you're supposed to finish that half, that triangle, all with the main color 1. But I knew about here I was going to run out. So I'm behind my, hello! So I just decided, I weighed how much I would have left, how many stitches, literally, I counted out how many stitches of yarn I would have left. And I would have this much left, plus you also have to do this, your last row is the spine. I wanted to have enough for that. And so that's 150 stitches, then I added these. So then I just used my contrast color. I was going to do stripes the same way, but I thought, no, let me just do blocking. So I did that there, and then that there, and then I finished it. And so when you fold it, this is how I wear it. I like the spine to go right down the front center. Oh, I just love it so much. I wear it every day. I wore it to Vogue Knit Live recently. Oh, I just love it so
And
much.
what is Birdie? What's it made out of?
Oh, good question. I think I have it right here. Look at that. I'm a little organized. So Birdie is 74% alpaca and 26% silk.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's very different from yours. I think yours is, I don't want to say fluffier, but maybe a fuller yarn. I'm not really sure. I mean, I love it. It's light and airy and fluffy. It feels like I'm wearing a cloud.
Yeah.
I really love it.
Really warm.
Really warm. I love it. Oh, my colors. You've told them what your colors are before.
No, but I'll do it after you.
Okay. So my colors are, let's see. My main color 1 is dark wash. Main color 2 is frayed jeans. And then my contrast colors are Emme, E-M-M-E, and Midge. Yeah. So thank you, Jackie, for helping me pick out the colors. When we were at Wool and Folk, I really decided on 2 colors pretty quickly. But by the time I committed to buying them, all the other colors were pretty much gone. So I purchased 4 hanks and asked Jackie Rose to pick out the other 2 colors. And I sent her a picture of the 2 I had. And so I had picked out the 2 main colors, and she sent me the green and I think that's what it was. Oh, no, I picked out the blue and purple, and she sent me the green and I call it black, but yeah.
And she helped me style mine, and
yeah,
she's
so sweet.
Yeah, she is.
So what colors are yours?
So this is one of those, I'm just going to use up the rest of my poppy. This is Moondrake Fua Fua, which is
cashmere, right?
70% brush cashmere and 30% superwash merino. There's 315 yards for 50 grams. And oh my goodness, this is some nice yarn. So anyway, but I thought, I'll just use the leftovers from my Nightingale Crescent, which is a short sleeve red top that I made out of the poppy color. And I always have loved this Prada blue color. Excuse me. So, but then pretty soon it started to look a little collegiate. I had this, I bought this cappuccino color, which is the tan. And then Felicia helped me pick out the electric pink candy, and she has a Nightingale Crescent out of electric pink candy. So I really love the kind of the surprise of the bright pink. And I love that you can wear this so that, the camel shows or the blue shows, or you can fold it any different manner of ways and have a different scarf.
Yeah, it's really so beautiful.
I did block mine, and like I said, the cast on edge was a little bit tight, so I would be careful about that next time. So, of course, this is one of those projects where you're like, okay, I think I want another one.
Yeah.
So I
I know.
immediately cast on another one, and I am using Moondrake again in this Fairy Godmother color, which is the lavender, which I absolutely love.
So pretty.
Yeah. And then I picked out this color, which is, oh, I don't know. It's way buried in here. Sand. And then this very, very plummy purple. Purple's really not my thing, but I don't know. Go figure.
So it has 4 colors.
It does. Plum.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I want to
the
see what the other one is.
The one skein I wanted from Diamond Lane was this crazy green
almost
color.
like
It's
olive.
called Loam. So this is the one skein. I made a beeline. There was one skein left, and I got it. And I just love how it's just weird.
Mm-hmm. But that's what makes it special, is that
Yes.
one color that just
Yes.
is like, huh. Yeah,
So I think
love
Jackie
it.
Rose talks about picking out your colors in sets of 2, so in pairs.
Mhm.
So I guess the 2 purples,
Mhm.
and then I've got the sand and this
Uh-huh.
green color. And,
Nice.
you know, like I said, purple isn't really my color, but I actually think it looks decent on me.
I love it.
And it goes really great with that thrifted $20 camel coat that I bought that I just am obsessed with. So it looks great with that. So,
Well, Michaela loves thrifting, so she's
oh my goodness.
she's amazing at thrifting.
I
What's
love
your
thrifting.
Instagram account?
It's Ayla Adorn, AELA Adorn.
Yeah, you got to check her out. She's really
Okay.
cool with
Do you post
thrifting.
your thrifted stuff?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
thrifting
Oh my gosh.
furniture, you know,
Oh, yeah?
furnishing your entire house.
Do you go to Trilogy Consignment in Terrytown? Oh, you have to check it out.
So check out Michaela's
Yeah.
Instagram account. It's really cool.
So I
I'll
have-
put it in the captions.
I have plans to make another one.
Wow,
I know.
it is one of those addictive things.
With the sand color, which is that very light tan.
Like the
Can't
winter
grab
white.
right
Mhm.
now. And, and this black. And
Beautiful.
the winter white.
That'll be
So,
gorgeous,
you
too.
can't have too many.
Right.
And you can make the smaller version with your leftovers
Mhm.
and give them as gifts.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting. I've never used the birdie. So I'm
Mhm.
combining the birdie with the fua fua.
Oh,
So we'll
yeah,
see.
it'll be nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
So yeah, I think if you have the correct gauge, you won't run out of yarn.
right.
I did. So
If you make the largest size, which is a wrap,
it's a different
the
gauge,
needle
right?
size is a 4.
Right.
Yeah, and I think she used Pearl Soho linen quill for one of those samples. Yeah,
nice.
and that comes in a million beautiful colors. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's do our whips really fast because this is going to be
Okay.
really long.
Okay.
How many? What whips do you want to talk about?
I only have. Well, I talked about my sew
Right, so
squares,
you just
so
have
I only
that.
have one.
Okay, so let me just do these really fast. Let's
Okay.
see. What do I have? Okay. I'll talk about this first. So at VogueKnit Live, I learned how to brioche, and the homework you had to do was cast on for. It's not just a swatch to learn the brioche; it's actually a hat pattern. She created a hat pattern and also a cowl pattern, but I chose the hat specifically for the class. So I love it because you start this, you do this homework, you start it for the class, you work on it, and it's going to be an object,
Right.
which is really cool. So I love this. She calls it the brioche pastiche hat. And the class was with Michelle Lee Bernstein, and she was lovely. And so I had done maybe one little repeat. It starts with brioche rib, 2-color rib, and then we learned increases and decreases. We learned a bunch of them, but there's some of them in the pattern. And so I've made a little more progress on it, and I absolutely love it. And depending on who it fits, of course I didn't gauge swatch for it, and I'm a tight knitter. If it doesn't fit an adult, I'll give it to one of my grandchildren. So I absolutely love that. Let me just talk about my other one because it's really frustrating. But here at Pick Up Every Stitch, they're encouraging me to finish. So I had mentioned the Arne and Carlos pillows that were my favorite thing last time. And I don't even know where the pattern is of the one I'm actually making. I'll insert it. It's called Britta, B-R-I-T-T-A. and I came here to pick up every stitch, and I'll insert a picture of all the yarns because there's all these balls of yarns, and they're all different. I kept saying different fibers, but they're also different bases, I guess, is what you would say, right? They're all different yarn bases. They're different weights. Some of them.
Brands. Different brands.
Brands. I have Moondrake. I have Les Garçons. I have Jonna Urban Knit by Numbers. I can't remember if there's anything else. Some of them are fingering, and I'm going to hold them double to make a DK. But I did cast on one of the pillows. I mean, you can't see anything. You can see. So it's a combination of, Fair Isle, stranded colorwork, and intarsia. And it's really complicated and really hard to do. I love the design. I do think, though, that it's really designed for the design and not for the ease of the knitter, which is fine. So it's colorwork flat. And because it's intarsia, I didn't want to do a steek and do it in the round because I don't want to learn how to do intarsia in the round. But you can't even see it. I'm not even going to take a picture because you can't even see it. But I've done 10 rows. Took me a whole day. I had to rip it out many times. Took me a whole day to do 10 rows. And I was ready to give up. I was just ready to say, nope, but I already bought all this yarn. And I came in here one day. And
you texted me, and I was like, oh, yeah, I think you should just bail. But I know you won't.
That's what she said. But I came in here, and everybody said, you can do it. You can totally do it. And I really want the finished object. That's what drives me, right?
Yeah.
So I probably will finish them. But the other issue is I really need, this has to stay home. I mean, if you see this mess of yarns in here, this has to stay home. And I really need to, have a few, at least a few hours to really remember what I was doing.
And get
into it, not have to jump up and down a bunch of times. So this will probably be a slow burner. I don't knit multiple things at a time, but this I will have to because but look at how lovely it is.
It really was your husband who said, just think about how much you want that pillow.
He does say that. Yeah, so.
That's funny. I'm kind of knitting this because of my husband too.
Oh. Yeah. He likes the color too, right?
He does like the color.
So anyway, that's my other whip, and that's it. We got through all that stuff. I can't believe it. You have one more whip.
Yep. So I cast this on in November during our PetiteKnit knit along, and I really like the Oslo sweater by PetiteKnit, and I like the Stockholm sweater by PetiteKnit, and they're very similar. I chose this one because I preferred the construction. They're very similar. So I wanted cobalt blue, and I called Felicia and Karen. I was like, I want cobalt blue. I don't see any cobalt blue in your store. So they ended up asking Julie Asselin to dye up a batch of cobalt, which is a color I guess she already had, but I didn't realize that at the time.
And they probably didn't have any in the store.
So she did. She dyed up a batch of the fingering and a batch of the mohair. And so the fingering is called Fino, and it is an incredible blend of merino, cashmere, and silk. And it's very, very slinky. I tried to wind it at home, and I ended up bringing the other two skeins back here to have them wind. That said, I got a new ball winder and Swift and everything, but it was just way too slinky and falling all over the place. I was like, yeah, no, I'm asking for help. So I did have them wind it, and I did buy the mohair, which is Anatolia, which you've used both of these yarns before in your Helga Isair C2.
Yeah.
And the Anatolia is, I think it's 60% mohair and 40% silk. So anyway, I love the color. It positively glows. Even though we had really gray day today, I was knitting this in the car when we were on our way somewhere my husband was driving. And it just glowed in my lap.
It's so
the first time I've taken it outside.
And you can't see the halo on the camera, but it has a beautiful halo.
It does have a halo. So you cast on at the back neck, and then you knit like a trapezoid, and then you continue on, and it just is the lower part of a rectangle, I guess. And then you pick up stitches along that diagonal to knit the left front and the right front. And then you join the fronts together. You cast on more stitches across the neck, and then join the fronts together, and then knit for a while, and then join underneath the arms. So this is my first drop shoulder.
But the collar is normally done later. But
so the neck is the very last thing in the pattern. However,
How do you know how long to make the sleeves?
how do you know how long to make the sleeves? And it was this huge gaping hole with these, yarn ends, and it was just ugly. And it was funny. I was talking to our friend Anya and I was figuring, she might not know what the word gaping meant.
She lives in Germany. She's
lives
German.
in Germany, and she speaks English beautifully.
Perfectly, yeah.
But I thought, gaping's kind of an odd word. I said gaping is like wide open with a hint of ugly. So that's what it was. It was wide open with a hint of ugly. And I just thought, I'm not going to enjoy trying this on. I'm not going to enjoy looking at it. So as soon as I kind of got my ball of yarn down to a reasonable size, I picked up during the during the Kansas City Ravens game, the Kansas City won. I picked up stitches a couple times because I wanted it to be perfect. And I would say it's easy
really
to do.
beautiful.
Just take your time.
It's a double thick. You
It
just
is
knit
double
up,
thick.
and you have pearls on the top
Uh-huh.
to turn it. Mhm.
So it took me an entire day to knit this collar, which I kept thinking, why is it taking me so long?
Mhm.
1 by 1 rib on a US 2.5. The body of the sweater is knit on a US 7. And so I'm thinking, it's X number of stitches, X number of rounds. How many stitches could this possibly be? It is almost 5,000 stitches, can I just say?
You calculated
I
it out.
did. I calculated it out. And so you knit X number of rounds, and then you do a purl round. And there's some controversy about that purl round. You can do it or you cannot do it. I just decided to do
Yeah.
it. I didn't think it was going to, quote unquote, show. And then I continued knitting. And then I very, very
It's
loosely
beautiful. It makes a nice little edge, a turning edge.
tacked it down with a whip stitch. If I had not done Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, I might have had trouble getting
it over your head.
not getting it over
getting
my
it to
head,
stretch, to
getting
whip
it to
stitch it.
stretch to whip stitch it. So
Mhm.
I highly recommend using a very stretchy bind off.
Mhm.
It's messy. It does not look great, but it totally fits inside. So
Nice.
and I am going to. You give me a bunch of elastic because you used it for one of your ranunculi.
Mhm.
So I have some blue elastic, and I am going to put it in the tube
Nice.
to make sure that that doesn't stretch out. But
It looks like you might not
I
even need to, though. It's really
love
beautiful.
it. Yeah. There were a few times when it was going through its ugly sweater stage, and I was like, I don't know about the yarn. I don't know about the color. I don't know about the pattern. I wasn't feeling it, and my husband absolutely loved it. And I sent a few pictures to friends. I'm like, it's not making me happy. One of the weird things is that my stitches don't slide on my metal Chaogu needles, and I have never had that problem. So I cleaned my needles with rubbing alcohol, which is something that helps
Mhm.
typically. It has helped a little bit, but for the weirdest,
Interesting.
I don't know, this yarn combo, it's gorgeous, but the Pheno actually has very little give to it. And I don't know if that's 10% silk, but it is not
As stretchy.
Not as stretchy. And then combined with the mohair that has absolutely no stretch, I am finding that I'm having trouble sliding my stitches around. So for that reason, it's a little bit, I wasn't enjoying the process as much. But now that I'm just in the round and
Your favorite thing, stuck in it in the
Yeah.
round. I mean, it's everybody's favorite thing.
I
isn't it?
did read somewhere that if you have to spend time sliding your stitches on your needle, the circumference of your needle is too big.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I thought this wasn't going to be big enough, but I am spending some time like loading
Moving
my
it around.
stitches onto the tip of the needle. But I
I
think
like it's big enough so I can see it laid out. I'd like to see it.
I think the lack of stretch is definitely an issue for me. That said, on Ravelry, I wonder how many times I say that said. I'd like to know.
Is the microphone picking up my stomach growling?
Oh my gosh, Sarah, the other day I was watching and her stomach was really growling, like
Mine's
super
really growling.
loud, and reminded me of you. So.
Yeah.
I
That
tried to
said-
come on a full tummy so that I'm not anxious.
I didn't
It
today.
helps me. That said,
Sliding your stitches on your
sliding
needle.
stitches on your
On Ravelry.
needle. On Ravelry.
Your
On Ravelry, I like to read the comments about the yarn.
Oh,
And so one of the comments was, this yarn grew. And I found that very surprising given that it is not superwash.
right.
And it does have that silk in it.
Mhm.
I'm not too worried. I did get gauge. I think it was 21 stitches per 4 inches. I'm not too worried about it because of the mohair, and I'm knitting the second size. Now, the cool thing is you can cast on for the first 3 sizes and use your little back yoke as your
gauge
swatch.
I love when that happens.
Yeah, and so I didn't have to commit to a size. I have a pretty even tension, so it's usually not a big deal. Anyway, I ended up choosing the second size. I wrote it down somewhere. There are sizes from extra small to 3XL, so to fit a bust circumference of 31.5 inches to 51.25 inches. Recommended ease is 8 to 10 inches. I'm going to have 9 inches of positive ease, which I wanted. I love how it's going to be drapey.
Mm-hmm.
So I am making the size 2. That said, so if it grows a little bit, I'm totally fine with that.
Right. I'm wondering, what's her name? The woman who does PetiteKnit?
Meta?
Yeah, she's been adding sizes to her
Mhm.
older patterns. So this
Mhm.
one really only goes, I think it's only truly inclusive when it goes, it has to start at a small enough size and then goes up to a 62,
60.
maybe 60,
Mhm.
62.
Mhm.
So maybe this will be one of them that she adds more sizes.
Right.
But
I wouldn't say that this is a size inclusive
yeah.
pattern. And someone did comment, and thank you for commenting, because I think it's, we were talking about a particular pattern, and I don't think we used the word size inclusive, but we did say that her patterns can include a lot of ease, and so be careful when you choose a size.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to wear the sweater with the intended amount of ease, it is possible that the size doesn't accommodate,
Mm-hmm.
Either
Right,
way.
right. I made my champagne. That's what we were talking about, my champagne.
Exactly.
Because it does run so large.
Right.
I made mine. I only made a small, and I never make a small.
Mhm.
I was like, ooh, I wear a small.
And so we were imagining that there were many other sizes that existed
Mhm.
beyond the largest size.
Right.
But if you want to wear it with the intended amount of ease, then, it can be a problem.
But it's
So-
nice she's adding those sizes because when they're specifically designed, and you can even get more detailed. Some designers, Jennifer Paracchini, JP.
For Hudson and West?
She did design for them, but she makes sure that, because you don't just make it bigger everywhere. Like
Mhm.
the armhole still has to fit, and the yoke still, it isn't just bigger everywhere. So that's
Right,
very important
right.
when a designer is truly designing for size inclusivity. But
Right.
thank you for when people point those things out.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for
yeah.
everything. So
I think that's it.
yeah, I was gonna, we definitely have to do the Valentine's thing.
Oh, okay.
So we usually talk about my favorite things. I was going to talk about, I'll just show it really, really quickly, because I didn't really get to talk about it after it was all finished. My Twice Sheared Cheap Advent Calendar. And they do surprise boxes during the year. I really don't know exactly what they are. It's bad, we're an affiliate, and I haven't had time to look it up. But if it's anything like this, it's totally worth it. But it came in this beautiful box. And inside were a bunch of little boxes. Obviously, it's an advent calendar. It came with a pattern, the Holly Beanie by Sarah Gross. And it came with yarn to knit that or something else. Malabrigo. And the first thing that came was this mug, this cute mug. The yarn speaks to me. I mean, so many things. The knit extension cords, cable locks, which we talk about all the time. These beautiful scissors. This yarn to go caddy, so you put your ball of yarn on there and then you can just pull and it twists, and it has, just so many things. A sock ruler. Oh, this was cool. Have you seen this? A knit until.
Oh, right.
So you put this on your needle, and then it says knit, 4 more inches.
Mhm.
Then it's hanging down on your knitting, so you can see that. And then these little, so many things. I'm not even going to talk about all of them, but they're beautiful. Go look at my Instagram, because my Instagram has everything. I took a picture every single day, but I absolutely love this. So if you want to give someone a wonderful gift next Christmas, you can get them an advent calendar, but it's really fun. So yeah, I love it. That was my favorite thing.
Okay.
You have a favorite thing?
It's a pattern. It's called Crystal, the sweater. Not Crystal Sweater, but just Crystal by Helga Isayer, and I'll have you insert a picture. But it's a beautiful bottom up. It's got a lace columns,
Mhm.
V-neck, It's worsted weight, which is kind of cool. So I'm thinking it might be a kind of a quick knit.
Yeah.
There is a tubular cast on, which I'm already dreading.
In the round.
In the round. But anyway, I have recently come across a tip, and I think Judy's Magic cast on. So you cast on with 2 needles, like you do when you cast on a toe-up sock. So you can knit from both sides of those stitches. That is used to create a tubular cast on. I don't know exactly how that works, but I have seen that maybe on Instagram or on YouTube. So if you too struggled with the tubular cast on,
check it out.
Check it out.
Nice.
Maybe if I can find the video, I will link it.
Yeah. And just so you know about the Twice Sheared Sheep Advent Calendar, everything wasn't available at first in the shop, but they're slowly adding things that were in the Advent Calendar. They were special just for the Advent Calendar. So really quickly before we go and do the Valentine surprise, there's a beautiful ranunculus here with some sparkles in it. It's so gorgeous. There is, over there is the Clifton by Emma Coates, and it's lovely, gorgeous. And over here is Marienlyst, sweater my size by Indie Blomst. Yes. And this beautiful sweater, I noticed as soon as I came in the door, is knit with, oh gosh, what is this? D. Gilpin Lawland DK, held with Knitting for Olive. And it's so lovely. Karen just finished it. And this is a little Ito scarf, a pre-knit. It's a pre-knit scarf. If someone wants a scarf and you don't want to knit them a scarf, order one. Come and get one from Pick Up Every Stitch. It's beautiful. It's made with is it made with Sensai? I don't know. But it's beautiful. It's machine knit. But they sell those finished here, so you can get those. And we saw these gorgeous bags. They just got them in, and I saw them at the company. Yeah, so they just got them in, but they're really beautiful. You know me, I love flowers. I'm a sucker for flowers. So if you need another project bag,
I wonder if that's the same brand as the one I
it
bought
is.
you.
It is. I saw that one at VogueKnit Live.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I have that very bag. And
it almost looks like Rifle Paper Company
It does.
paper.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So let's do the Valentine surprise. We're not going to use that one word.
Yeah, we were setting up, and Karen and Felicia ran out here and said, let's do a Valentine's Day, GIVEAWAY. So if you comment on this video below, and you can just write the word comment, or
you can
hello,
say Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, or boy, your hair is blue, or whatever.
Yeah. Or the sound is much better, or worse, whatever.
Or Jonna said like 19 times. Yeah, you can say whatever you want to say. Anyway, comment below, and
we'll choose one winner.
Choose one winner
By the end of February. How's that? February 28th. We'll draw the winner.
And they are generously offering. Are we giving away one prize or 2?
It's just one sweater's quantity, so you can hold up the whole thing.
Okay. One sweater's quantity of Mayak Tibetan Cloud, which is 100% wool. Very, very soft. Appropriate for kids even. Not that it's super wash, but it's just very soft. And this is the color Cali Carpa. And it's, 328 yards. So it's, what would you say, a sport weight? A light sport weight?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But just so you know, it's not all the same dye lot. So you could make kind of a fade sort of thing. You could, choose the dye lots that are similar and put them together and make it a fade, or you could alternate, do like a very subtle stripe. And there's one that isn't even the same color. So, but yeah, so there you go. If you want that, if you want a sweater's quantity, it's a lot of yarn, and it's Mayak. I mean, it's gorgeous. And it's from Pick Up Every Stitch. So thank you, Karen and Felicia.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, just comment, and we'll draw. I'll say we'll do the drawing on March 1st so that everybody can finish February 28th. Okay?
Alrighty.
Yay. So that's it.
That's it.
Yep. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's it.
Comment, like,
subscribe,
share,
turn on notifications.
And again, thank you for your patience when we,
thank you.
Health issues, ice. We had to cancel the shoot last week because of ice.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But that's it.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Bye. Welcome to Knit Together.
Oh, wait, I forgot we need a picture.
Right.
Oops, I hit the mic. The printer's going.
I know. Of course.
Sorry if I was petting my mic.
Excuse me while I pet my mic.
How many pages are printing?
We're laughing. No worries. Yeah, I'm the one who wears unfinished garments on the podcast. That'd be me. But I also have a mohair problem.
Not a mohair problem.
Let's see. I wrote this down. I know I did.
And then the Disney was on that night too.
I just whacked my. I just whacked my mic.